in January. So excited to be starting off this year with wrap-ups again because last year was my first year ever doing them. So if you haven't seen last year's wrap-ups, I have them all in a playlist you can check out for 2023, but today we're starting the 2024 one, so super exciting. But yeah, so let's talk about the books that I read. This has been like my most successful reading month in terms of the amount of books, because 18 is a lot, but I work from home and it's winter. It was like the coldest, darkest days of the year, so I spent so much time inside this month just reading, and so I got a lot of reading done. But just remember, like, it does not matter how much you read. What matters is if you are having a good time reading, if you're enjoying the books that you're reading. It's all about quality over quantity. Okay, so just remember that. Okay, so I think we should start off with all of my DNFs, because my two big goals for 2024. The first one is to continue a series that I've started. I want to get through them, finish them, etc., which I did make some progress on this month. And then my second reading goal for the year is to DNF frequently, DNF quickly, DNF a lot. If I get about 30% into a book and I'm not enjoying it, I'm DNFing it. So, with that being said, I did have five books that I DNF'd this month, so we'll just kind of go over them quickly. All of them, except one, were on my Kindle or audiobook. So, first, we have Binding 13 by Chloe Walsh. Now, this book is insanely popular. So many people love it. So there is a chance that I will pick it up again. I soft DNF'd this, but this is a YA romance about Johnny and Shannon, and it's set in Ireland. And I got like 40% through, and I just didn't connect with anything that was going on. I was bored. It just felt like Shannon was a damsel in distress, and Johnny just needed to save her over and over and over, and I don't know. I didn't like it, but I think I just wasn't in the mood for a YA romance, so I think I will pick this up again, but for now, it was a DNF. Then I hard DNF'd Off Balance by Lucia Franco. This is the first book in a big romance series about a gymnast who ends up falling for her coach. So it's like a taboo kind of romance, but I DNF'd this because, again, about 30% through, I found out that the coach, like the guy, he met our main female character as a baby. He has known her since she was a baby, and that is just something I can't deal with in romance. It's like an immediate no for me. So I DNF'd. Next, I DNF'd Changing the Rules by Catherine Bybee. I just found this on my Kindle. It's on Kindle Unlimited with the audiobook as well, so I was listening to it. And the premise sounded so good. It's basically like 21 Jump Street, but with the romance. So it follows our two main characters. I literally could not tell you their names, but they work for this like security company, but the cops need some help, so they recruit them to go undercover at this high school and try and like figure out who's selling drugs, because they're having a drug problem. But again, I got like 30-40% and nothing was happening. Like nothing. They went to one party and like I was bored. So competition where Rowan and Sloane basically like end up competing, and it's put on by his brother. Like, that whole plot made no sense. And then it's Insta-lust, which is my current bookish egg. Like, the second they meet on page 1, they're already flirting, they're already like hot for each other, and I just hate that. Like, what's the point of reading a romance book if we're gonna be flirting here? It's like actually making me mad. Insta-lust is the worst, and this is not the first time, or this will not be the last time I mention it in this video, because it was a recurring problem this month. But then the murders were not, like, it wasn't dark and gory enough. It was like really cheesy comedy. Like, I don't know, I don't think that this was a great way to blend dark romance, comedy, mystery. Like, I just think it was doing too many things, and I did not care about it. I will say, though, the audiobook is wonderful. The narrators did a great job, so I was tempted to keep listening just for them. The guy has the oddest Irish accent, but the plot was a fucking mess, to put it lightly, so I did unfortunately DNF this. Okay, and then the last DNF is an ARC. I got an ARC audiobook copy of Come and Get It by HaleyJean. I've heard many good things about this author, but this was like the first thing I ever picked up from her. And this book follows a bunch of different women in a college dorm, like, floor, and it talks about like money and marriage. And honestly, I got 30% through, and I had zero clue where we were going with this story, what the point was, what I was supposed to be gaining from it. Like, I was listening to the audiobook on 3x speed, just like trying to get through it, when I realized I don't need to read this. I just felt like there was way too many perspectives, way too many women, and it didn't like get to the point fast enough. I still could not tell you like what it was about. I think it's supposed to touch on like a lot of different topics and societal issues, but it was forgettable. There were like a few funny moments, but yeah, no, DNF'd. Okay. And then, speaking of arcs, we will now get into the books that I actually finished and rated. So I do have 2 other arcs that I read this month. First was probably like my most highly anticipated arc I've gotten thus far. It is Bride by Ali Hazelwood. So this comes out February 6th, and it is Ali Hazelwood's paranormal romance debut, and it is about a girl named Misery who is a vampire, and she is basically put in an arranged marriage with this like alpha werewolf, to make peace between the werewolves and the vampires. And there's like a lot of, politics and stuff like that, but obviously I can't go too much into it. You'll have to see when it comes out, but unfortunately I think this is my least favorite Ali Hazelwood book. It still has the same like essence, that quirky writing style. Misery is like a hacker tech girly, so you get that little like STEM tie-in. The smut is good. I will say it is Omegaverse, and I had no clue what Omegaverse was. I had never read an Omegaverse book before, and I don't think that this book really explained it well enough. Like, I still don't get it, but there was a knot involved. Anyway, yeah. I think that, again, the Omegaverse, the world building, the fantastical elements seemed a little bit lackluster, and I felt like needed a little more work, so I didn't love this. I didn't like the way the storyline ended. Like, I felt like I knew second chance romance, like, it was fine. But if you're gonna like really market something to be Taylor Swift inspired, you gotta like put in the effort. The references were so like obvious and lackluster, and the metaphors were like ridiculous. I just, as a Swiftie, I feel like this was written by two people who definitely are not Swifties. Like, I know they know Taylor's like banger radio hits, but like this was not giving the Swiftie vibes it needed to give. So I only gave it a 2-star. I did not care about the romance. Max, the like love interest, he didn't even want to be a musician. Anyway, I won't get all the way into the details, but I did not like this. So 2 stars, unfortunately. The cover is cute, but those were all the arcs that I read in January. Okay, let's talk about my Patreon book club book pick. So I have a book club through my Patreon. My Patreon. And you can join, link in the description box. It's $5 a month. You get like 5 or more exclusive ASMR videos, and you're in the book club. But for January, we read Powerless by Lauren Roberts. This is the first book in a new YA romantasy series. And again, I've just heard really great things, so I was excited to read it with the book club. But if you want to see my full review, I did a reading vlog review video on Patreon, but I'll just make it brief here. I gave this a 3-star. It is the author's debut, and so I think for a debut it was cute, but I think it needed a lot more work to be anything other than like average. I've read a lot of YA fantasies in my day. It's one of my favorite genres, and I felt like this was an amalgamation of YA fantasy tropes and scenes and themes, but like the reasoning behind doing them was unclear, you know, if that makes sense. And it was Insta-lust. I fucking hate Insta-lust. Please do not recommend me books with Insta-lust in 2024, okay? For my own peace of mind. Hate it. Like, again, the second they meet, they're supposed to be enemies. It's supposed to be enemies to lovers. Where? If you're flirting on page 10, you're not enemies, babe. Anyway, so yeah, I gave this 3 stars. It didn't stick out to me, and I don't think I'd recommend it over other fantasy romances that I've read. But again, if you want my full review and reading vlog, join the Patreon book club. Join the Patreon book club. Okay, then I read a novella from one of my favorite authors. This is Out of the Gate by Miss Elsie Silver. So this is like the book 1.5, you know, because it's a novella in the Gold Rush Ranch series. So the Gold Rush Ranch series follows Vaughn and Cole Harding, and Dermot Harding is their grandfather. So this is a novella that kind of shows you how their grandma and grandpa got together, and it was cute. I gave it 4-star. It's like big age gap, kind of forbidden, small town, and I think for a novella like under 150 pages, Elsie Silver really managed to like pack in quite an emotional love story, and I enjoyed it. I normally am not like the biggest novella girly with romance, but this was good. I definitely like got the butterflies a few times, and I think it gave good context for like Cole and Vaughn's backstory. So I'm excited to move on to the second book in the series. But yeah, then decided to give this a shot because, first of all, the covers are great. The first book, I enjoyed it. I gave it a 3-star. It was a fun, but I think there were parts of the story that I did not like. I can't really explain too much why, but I don't know. My favorite character, they are really only around for like the first 20%, and then something happens to them, and I didn't like that. Like, I didn't care about the other characters we were following. I kind of wanted more. But after reading this, I just swiftly moved on and picked up Hellbent, the sequel. I got this gorgeous Barnes & Noble exclusive with the sprayed edges. So I really can't talk about anything that happens in this book, because obviously it's like way more into the plot, but I liked this one less than the first one. Kind of pun intended. It was like anticlimactic as hell. Yeah, there's like this crazy heist that happens in this book, but it was anticlimactic. Like, so much of this book is like building up, preparing for it, like getting ready, like everyone doing their thing, and then when it actually happens, it felt like I kind of wasted my time. I was kind of like a little salty, so I gave it a 2.75 stars, and I think I will continue the series whenever the next book comes out. Who knows? It has not even been announced, but I don't think the series is for me. I just think the author focused on so many parts of the world and the plot that I did not care about. It's like all the parts that I cared and wanted to see, we didn't explore, or we like just glazed over. So yeah, it was okay. Alright, then I decided to switch it up, and I listened to a celebrity memoir. I love listening to celebrity memoirs, and so I picked up one for that video that I talked about earlier, and it is Tell Me Everything by Minka Kelly. So Minka Kelly is the actress from Friday Night Lights. I only knew her from Euphoria. She played the like mother that Maddie babysits for, and I had never really heard of her, but I was recommended this by one of you, and I gave it a shot, and I fucking loved it. I loved it. 5 stars. I cried so many times. If you liked I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy, you will like this. Pick it up. There's something about a book that centers around a woman's relationship didn't work for me. So if Romeo and Juliet had lived long enough, then they too would have gotten to the point where Romeo was so numb to her that he would rather read Twitter in bed than fuck. Yeah. Thank you, Megan Fox, for that amazing insight. 2 stars. Then after that, I saw that Everand also had the audiobook for Violet's Bend Backwards Over the Grass by Lana Del Rey. This is her poetry collection, and if you are not familiar with Lana's music, she is a lyrical master, and so I decided to give her audiobook a listen, and it was gorgeous. It had this like beautiful music throughout. You can tell that she really took time to produce it and make it her own, and I actually ended up loving the poems so much that I went out the same day and bought a physical copy so I could like annotate it and tab it. There's also some images in the physical copy that you don't get to see with the audiobook, but I love the audiobook, I love the physical copy, and I gave this 4 stars. I really, really enjoyed it. So yeah, if you want to check out a celebrity poetry collection, I would recommend this one over Megan Fox's for sure. So yeah, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 stars, 4 stars, 4 stars. Then I picked up 2 graphic novels. I have had my eye on these for a while, and a YouTuber I really like, Katie Coulson. I don't remember her actual YouTube channel, but I really like her videos. She's so funny. She recommended them and loved them, so I gave them a shot. They are Killing Stalking by Kooky. Now these are the deluxe English editions, so this is a Korean manga. I do not remember the term for that off the top of my head, but I was really excited to read these because they are full color. I have to be careful not to show too much, because if you could not tell by the name of the books in the series, yeah, there's the art style. These are dark, and very mature. But this is a story about Yoon Bum and Sang-woo. Yoon Bum has always had the biggest crush on Sang-woo. He basically stalks him. Stalks him. He's obsessed with him. He just, like, has always had a crush on Sang-woo. Sang-woo, however, has a dirty little secret, and that is that he is a serial killer. And so one day when Yoon Bum is kind of stalking Sang-woo, he gets tangled up in Sang-woo's mess. And it goes from there. And honestly, this first volume, I was intrigued. I was excited to see like where the story was gonna go, and it was interesting, but I think the romance was so forced. This felt like if you made Haunting Adeline into a manga, a male manga, honestly. And so I was here for like the gore and the drama and the plot, but it started focusing a lot on their romance, and I couldn't get with it. So I gave the first volume 3 stars, but then I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna like give it a shot. I'm gonna read the second volume and see if I like it a little bit more, because that's also something I'm trying to do more of this year, is like, even if I don't like the first first book in a series, still maybe reading the second book, because I've noticed, like with a lot of my favorite series, that the first book is usually my least favorite. So I read volume 2, and I only gave this one 2 stars, and I think I'm gonna DNF the rest of the series. I just didn't like where the plot went in this book. There wasn't like enough character development, and instead Yunbum, like his entire character kind of changed in this book, and I just didn't understand why. I don't feel like it was, I don't know, yeah. If you are horny and you want like Haunting Adeline, but make it a graphic novel and make it gay, then I would recommend. Otherwise, not for me. I think you'll need some therapy. If you love those books, love you so much, you might want to call a therapist. Okay, and I don't mean that as a diss. I think everyone should have a therapist. I studied psychology, so the last two books that I read this month are in the same series. So as I mentioned, trying to get through series this year, and I am currently in the home stretch of the gigantic Addicted Calloway Sisters series. So it's like a 10-book series following 6 people, and they're different couples, and they are basically like celebrities. It's very like Kardashian vibes. Their family owns like a big soda company, and then throughout the seasons, or throughout the books, they get like more and more famous. Stuff happens, and they kind of become like the Kardashians. Like they've got paparazzi, they've got babies, they're having families. Like there's so much drama and storylines going on with like romance throughout. So I'm making my way through that series, and I read the seventh book, which is Addicted After All. This is the last book in the series that is in Lily and Lauren's perspective, and it was kind of bittersweet, but I gave it 4 stars. Some of the first babies were born in this book, which was like so exciting, but I don't think that the plot in this one was that great, and these books are all like 500 pages, and I just think for contemporary romances, like they just don't need to be that long. So I gave it a 4-star, and I am kind of sad that we are not going to have any more books from Lily and Lo, but honestly, the Addicted books in the series I think are the weakest. So yeah, I can't talk too much about the plot, obviously, because it is so far in the series, but 4 stars. And then the last book that I read this month is the 8th book in the series, Fuel the Fire. This is the last book following Rose and Connor, and this book solidified Rose and Connor as my favorite couple in the series. I thought I was a Lilo girl, but no, I love Rose and Connor so much. The plot of this book was so fun. I think so far my favorites are Fuel the Fire in terms of the plot, and then Hot House Flower in terms of the romance. But yeah, it's definitely one of my favorite books from the series, and it was so fun watching Rose and Connor and all of their like character growth in this book, and we got some revenge on some motherfuckers that I hate, and it was great. It was a fun time. Again, a little bit too long. I think every book in this series